Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with another episode of my California Golden Seals Draft to Glory franchise mode series. I've said it before, it's a mouthful of a title, but regardless, we are back. And in this episode, we go through a draft, we get this team set up for the next season, the continued adventures of Howard Fragapane, of Dylan Redden, and of whoever we get here, not to mention Joe Niedermeyer, of course, but whoever we manage to get in this draft as well. Now, it's not a guarantee, of course. We have the third pick. I don't expect either team to go that far off the board. So we were looking at Steven Dika, Sergei Ivanov, and Kirill Lokhtianov, and the overwhelming support has been for Sergei Ivanov, the center with the Patrick Kane comparison. Of course, he put up 26 points in 53 games as a 17-year-old in what is essentially the KHL in this game. That is who we're going to look to go for unless one of the top two slip down the board. We'll see what happens. We'll jump right into it. There's really not that much time to waste. There's nothing else to go over. It's just a matter of jumping right into this, getting to the draft, and seeing what we can do as Ilya Kovalchuk retires with one hell of a point per game total. Eric Stahl, Patrice Bergeron. That's going to be a sad, sad day. This wasn't even a fantasy draft series, and he ended his career in Florida. I am upset just seeing that. There's no way Patrice Bergeron isn't going to be a Bruin for life. Please, for the love of God, just let that be a thing. And imagine Ryan Miller retiring as a Flyer. Just weird things going on. That said, let's get right down to business. Let's jump into the draft. Let's see if we're starting off this episode on a high note, or at least what feels like a high note. Because the last draft, I felt like we killed it, as Carter Hart's apparently on the trade block. I felt like we killed it in the last draft. Time will tell. Let's see if we can walk away with a similar feeling. The Anaheim Ducks with the number one pick take Lehtinen, who had the Teemu Selanne comparison. The Wild will more than likely take Morris. So there you go. Which means we are locked in with our selection. We're not going to trust the scout. We're not going to take Steven Dika, however the hell you want to pronounce it. It's Sergei Ivanov. I'm going with Ivanov. Might be Ivanov. Let's go with Ivanov. Sergei Ivanov, the Russian, is our pick by popular demand. And we'll see whether or not that works out for us. But yet another year with the top four selection. We do get the first pick of the second round, and from here is where it's really just all up in the air, of course, with who we're going to hopefully find, as Eric McCann's not terrible, but not great. Jaden Denny, in fairness, comparable to Mike Gartner, in terms of style. The point and assist numbers aren't terrible for an 18-year-old. McCann's not looking that bad either. Nope, I want McCann, please. What the hell? McCann, thank you. We have Dennis Forrest. He's also looking okay. Nose for the net. Makes me think he, of course, would be a power forward. It would make sense. Dennis Langdon, 21 points as an 18-year-old, comparable to Phil Housley. Still not really anything to go off of. Joel Roenick, though. Robinson Umberger also did okay. Well, we don't exactly need another goaltender, but that's probably too good to pass up on. That's a decision made easy, unless Roenick. Oof, okay. Hold on here. Hold on just a second. So all of these guys are out of the running. We have Roenick. Oh my God. Maroon. Petrov on defense. Mika Lajunen, perhaps. 4 points for the 17-year-old. Also comparable to Gartner. What about Billy Merritt? 27 points as an 18-year-old. Similar style to Kuznetsov. Jeffrey Valette, 30 points. What else do we have? A medium starter. Is there anybody else of that top-notch quality here? I mean, even Valisi's looking like he could be decent, comparable to Pietrangelo. Oh my God, a medium elite goaltender. I mean, if we're taking a goalie here, it's fairly obvious who we're going to go for. Ricardo Packard. Hell of a name. Is there anybody else? Toivonen? Man, there's some top-notch goaltending prospects here, huh? And we have Igor Bykov as well. Another Russian. Didn't do as well as the one that we just took third overall. A couple of low top fours. Another medium elite goaltender. And at this point, we're heading towards the third round in terms of projection. So as far as who we have pinned here, Jesus. Okay, so Hunter Gove, you're off the list. Who the hell? Okay, first things first. Time out, T-Mart. Like, we need to take a look at this because, yeah, I think the franchise is going to be too good to pass up on, to be honest. Again, do we necessarily need a goaltender? Not really, but you factor in, here's the thing. We're not allowed to trade. This hasn't been a factor yet. We're not allowed to trade, but we are allowed to let players go as RFAs. That is our only way to get compensation for players. It's not like, oh, well, we're letting go of them. We just got to let go of them. No, we're allowed to, tender offers. The thing is, we have to make sure that they be the type of player that would actually get an offer. And of course, unless they're high enough overall, that's not normally the case. But if we have multiple franchise caliber goaltenders, and I mean, Maroon killed it as an 18-year-old, the puck control's low. He's not going to be the best goalie right out of the gates, right off the bat, but damn. And then Petrov is a low elite defensive D-man, so we wouldn't expect him much. Played in the men's league this year. Definitely more of a project. Good, decent skating, shooting, but the defense needs work. Weakness is skating, though, despite the B- in skating, comparable to Bouwmeester. I don't think we can go with him. Mika had 4 points in 37 games as a 17-year-old. Goal scoring as a positive. Jorge Valisi, perhaps 17 points in 17 games. Not a ton to go off of. The Pietrangelo comparison. I mean, right now, I think it comes down to Roenick or Maroon. Wouldn't you say? Hartman, probably not better than Roenick. And Merritt, probably not better. So we would go with either the forward in Roenick, or who could be a can't-miss goaltender and could make our goaltending depth that much stronger down the stretch. Pro release, lacks size, comparable to Fleury. Roenick or Maroon. This sucks. Oh, this sucks. I would have gone for Roenick for sure, but then you see medium franchise. It's like, what choice do you have? Again, you look at our goaltenders. Sestito has developed. From there, Norena, I'm starting to think he's not going to, of course. Wilson could be half decent. I mean, Sestito's the goalie for the future, but I'm not against bringing in another medium franchise. And that is one thing about NHL 19 right now. There are a lot of high-end goaltenders being generated through the draft. Goaltender or forward. This sucks. I was hoping to avoid a tough situation like this. I mean, Roenick, again, for an 18-year-old, to put up the point total that he did, it's fairly impressive. Pro release, offensive instincts. Looks like he has a really good shooting grade. Do we get an insurance policy in goal or another forward? Because, again, he's 18. We know the B-, it's going to result in not that great of a star rating, but the B in reflexes would be half decent. I want both of them. I can't do that. And it sucks. There's just that debate over whether or not the goaltending we have already is going to be good enough. And knowing, of course, that with either of the two franchise goalies, if we were to have both of them, that might work itself out. We get compensation later, whatever. But there's no doubt we do need more competition when it comes to the forwards. I don't know what to do. My heart says goaltender, but my brain is saying forward. Because if you look here, Sestito should be an NHLer. Fedorov has an outside chance. Pedro Wilson has a decent chance of making it to being our long-term backup. And then Arena, I'm not really too confident in. So if Sestito doesn't develop into an elite-level goaltender, we could be in a little bit of trouble. Like I said, it would be an insurance policy on that front. This is the biggest decision we've had to make so far. This is going to be a turning point for this series. I am going to trust that Sestito develops. Maybe. God, Eli Maroon, though. I don't know what to do. Don't make me choose. Sestito. If we fail, if we never win anything in this series, it's on your shoulders. You are the guy. God, but you're an undersized goalie, too. God damn it. He's so good at everything reflexes-wise, kind of. Not really. Has a terrible stick side. God, I mean, nah. I don't like it. I don't want to choose. But we have to. We can't be here all day. I mean, literally we can't. The timers would eventually run out despite timeouts. God damn it. He was previously ranked 34th. Joel Roenick is the pick. Sestito, don't make me regret it. Do not make me regret turning down a guy with the Carey Price comparison. Do not. We're taking Roenick. We're bolstering the offense. Sestito, please, for the love of all that's good, develop. We need you. We need you to develop. Like, this is it. This is your series now for the moments. Unless, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here. Unless someone else comes along and we end up drafting them in the future years. But he is our guy for the moment. It is ridiculous. Preseason, 17, low top 4, not terrible. Now, obviously, he was not the gem. Brian Fernandez was the gem. Same potential. Not a crazy project, but still a project. Jeremy Simon, 47 points in 66 games. Not looking too bad either. Emilio Langkow, we don't really have enough to go off of with him. We have a low 6. And Topi Kerman, the Kermans, goal scoring, no similar style. Thomas Olassen on defense, 17 years old. Also not terrible. Beauregard could be okay, maybe. No one that's really, setting the stage to be like, yes, you're the guy, you're the pick, no matter what. Like, I haven't seen one of them yet. No doubt there are some decent options here. It might be, what the hell? I didn't hit back twice, but okay. It might be that we end up taking a defenseman here because we still do need to, of course, solidify that third pairing. So we'll pin Sylvester. And is there anybody else? Alexei Kasparaitis. Similar style to Kuznetsov. I'm just looking through here to see if there's anybody else who is can't miss. Jackson Forrest. Looking all right. Joel Houston as a goaltender. I mean, I'd have to see some pretty crazy stats for me to take him right now. Dale Millman. Not too shabby. Low puck skills, though. And weak hands, despite the assist numbers that he put up. Figure that one out. Victor Roach. Overager at this point. Comparable to Backlund. I'm not really impressed by those point totals as an overager. Antoine Bourdon is okay. Comparable to Sagan, at least in a similar style. Starter potential there. What about Alexandra Boutin? Not looking that great. We have a starter. We have a low 4 and Ted Pronger. Overager. Good puck skills. Not great defense, though. Andrew Zeeler at 19. Heavy slap shot as a defenseman. Chelios comparison. I kind of like that Chelios comparison. Aiden Carlson. Carlson's also looking okay. I know we're low on time. I know. Damn. I haven't seen that one option where we're like, yes, this is the guy. Holy, bust central. I'm glad we found that part of the draft. And also, there was a high 6 there, even though it wasn't confirmed. Man, that Roenick pick. Whether or not that comes back to haunt me. Damn. Admittedly, don't really know who to take here. I'm going to lean towards taking a defenseman. So if we look at all the defensemen we have pinned at that gigantic group of prospects, the highest rated on the board, it would be either Fernandez, Prusek, and Olassen. Fernandez, second highest rated, but is also, on Central Scouting, he is the highest rated according to our scout. He's also listed as a gem. Zeeler would be our only chance at an actual medium elite. He's 19. Chelios comparison, and then Jackson Forrest was the overager. So I'm thinking Brian Fernandez. 18-year-old, decent shooting. He's definitely more of a project, but I'm going to trust our scout with the gem of Brian Fernandez. I didn't really see anybody there that I'm like, oh my god, this has to be the guy. So overall, I feel okay with that. I'm not aiming to take a certain amount of forwards as defensemen. We'll just see how this goes. As Zeeler is still on the board. Pronger was on the board as well. Could pin him again. There's Carlson, McLaren. We get back to Bust Central. And we'll start taking a look from here. Aronson is an 18-year-old, 45 points in 62 games. We don't have a ton to go off of. Our scout rank has him set up pretty high, though. That's not too bad. What about Yuri Datsuk? 1 point in 7 games. Not much to go off of. Sean Nemish, 18-year-old. Ryan Kessler comparison. And there's Warren Burisch, 3 points in 44 games. Yeah, I was hoping with that. With showing up as a high potential, I was a bit hopeful there, but it's not looking too good. Ricky Nesbitt, the 20-year-old. Decent grades. Comparable to Zetterberg, which, quite topical, but I'm not entirely sure there. I mean, he is locked in at medium. But he's 20 years old. There's also James Auld on defense, but unfortunately he is a bust. Corey Hartman, 30 points as a left wing. You know, it's a little bit risky taking the overager, but that might work. Caden Lee as a grinder. There's also Darren Huey. Louie. You know, I think we're okay. There's no guarantee steal coming up anytime soon. So let's see who we have pinned here. And again, he's the only one locked into the medium 6. Ricky Nesbitt's a little bit of a risk. He did put up 40 points in 65 games as a power forward. Very weak competition. He's not that far off, though. His skating, he's just slow. Very slow. I'm not sure, man, because Pronger, in terms of the scout rankings, Pronger's the highest rated out of the bunch. But Zieler's right there, as is McLaren. Pronger, also an overager. What about Ron McLaren? 18-year-old. Decent. And then Zieler is a 19-year-old. I'm going Chelios comparison. Let's take another defenseman. Nesbitt, I'm just worried. I'm worried. He's 20 years old. He does have the potential locked in, but he's slow. We go 2 centers and 2 defensemen to start this draft off. And man, this episode's flying by already. Am I really taking this long? And a lot of you are screaming, yeah, you are. Hurry the hell up. And I'm sorry. But hey, it's important. That's why I like this type of series. There's the emphasis on don't screw up, stupid. If I screw up, it's my own fault for not taking my own, sweet time in terms of getting everything set up and making sure that we look at every possible option. That's the point. Quincy Stoner, 15 points as an 18-year-old, injury prone as well. Kind of scares me away. Dmitry Afanasenkov had no points in 31 games as an overager. Okay, well, you're out of the question. Is there anybody else? Let's take a look at Morgan Reed. 11 points as a 17-year-old. Blake Boys, also kind of meh. We have McBride, 46 points in 62 games as a 19-year-old. If only you were 18, I'd be that much more impressed. Zanata, nothing really there. Scrivens, not a crazy point total. No strengths, no defined strengths. Very concerning. Casey Peteny. 16 points. Again, not much to go off of here. We're really struggling at this stage. Nick Reed. It's a good amount of assists for an 18-year-old. Teammate utilization, passing ability. He might be worth looking at. There's not a ton to go off of there, though. Maxime Briere, 11 goals as a defenseman. Comparable to Ham Hughes, 20 years old, though, so that's kind of to be expected. Kalle Ekman-Larsson, 19-year-old, also a Ham Hughes comparison. What about Martin Price, overager? The goals look nice in this overager. Here we go. Cameron Harrington, also an overager. Decent potential. It's a great puck mover. So a good shot. Good puck skills, but that defense, man, comparable to Larry Murphy. That would be an interesting pickup just because of how bad that defensive grade is. And say hello to Theo Molson. 18-year-old, definitely a project. Although an 18-year-old, I mean, that's going to be a really low overall. It's going to be a really, really low overall. What about Caden Barch? 6 points as a 17-year-old. He's fucking massive at 6'5", 205. Could be worth it. Decent chance of him being an enforcer. And there's the goaltender, Robinson Emerson. Neat. Couldn't just call him Rob. We have Joshua Leach, 20 points as a 19-year-old. I think we're kind of locked in. I know I'm running low on time. Dante Wallace, good shot. That's about it. Jack Molson, Clutterbuck, Yeah, I think... And there was another medium 6 there, but he won't be drafted until later. This is the most timeouts I've ever used in a single draft. Damn. It's taken me much longer than I would have preferred, but I don't know. Just the options. So looking at the scouting ranks, Molson, again, we know he's a project. Scouting ranking has him way down. You have Nick Reed as an 18-year-old with decent passing. Scouting rank has him second out of this group of 4. He also has the highest central scouting ranking at this point. And Harrington's pretty much locked in. Theo Molson has been jumping up the ranks, though. Here's the problem. We can pretty much guarantee that Molson, we do know he's a project. It's going to take him a while to get to that half-decent point. Whereas we don't quite know what we'd get with Nick Reed. I'm going to trust the assist numbers of Nick Reed, I think. I think Molson, it would just take him too long to develop if he ever did. That just screams the type of player who's going to be like a 40, 50-something overall. So I'm all right with passing up on that. He is still available, actually. Ekman Larson was there as well, but there wasn't too much to go off of. So he's still an option. Burisch is an option. Emerson, Leach. There was somebody else down this way. And actually, we're at the stage of the draft. We can just sort by potential and hope for the best. As Cooper Haley's there. 19 years old. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Emerson, we had Caden Clutterbuck. Brian Woolley? No. Very much no. Joshua Leach, Molson, Dmitry Dadonov. I wish we could trust those grades. Comparable to Vlasic. It's interesting, at least. Oleg Latipov as well is an 18-year-old. Comparable to Chelios. We also have guaranteed Rodney Olson at low elites. Way too big of a project. He is 17, though. There is Christian Waters, a gem. 18 years old, didn't put up a single point in 30 games. Yeah, he's got a long way to go in terms of development. Gaspard Jelena, 50 points. He was an overager. 50 points, though. That's center. Weakness in face-offs. Neat. Rudy Davis, 34 points at 19 years old. Nothing really there. Braylon Voros. Again, nothing really there. Neat. Dante Wallace, decent shot. Didn't really use it, though. He was playing in a tough league, though. Decent shot, though. We'll mark him down. We have Isaac Messier, also an overager. Not a ton to go off of. Another gem, Michael Vigilante. 5 points in 46 games as a 19-year-old. Someone else who's just going to take a while to develop. Kari Teravainen, 1 point as an 18-year-old. He's tall. Malachi Lynn. Damn, we have so many of these guys who are in this range. Robichaud, 19 points. Nothing really there. AJ Welch was okay, but nothing really locked in. Solomon Gainey, 18 points as a 19-year-old. Not digging that. Marcus Kavanagh, not really digging that either. Francis Jenks, 21 points as a 19-year-old. Son of a bitch. Adan Gray, 22 goals as an 18-year-old. Interesting. And then there's also Jimmy Millman. Who is one hell of a project. Bryson Habsheed, again, 54 points. 54 points as a 19-year-old. That's not too bad. Brent Booth as well. I know I have to call a timeout here soon. Can I at least get through the low top sixes? Dallas Pratt, decent point totals. Comrie is a 17-year-old. I have 20 seconds. Pete, no. And then I'll take a look at defensemen in a moment. I just want to sort out who the hell I'm picking with these next two picks, but I haven't seen those guys where it's just like, yes, you are the ones to pick. No doubt about it. Let's go. Like, aside from the gems, if I just wanted to trust that, you know? So let's go to the top fours. So we had Ekman Larson, who we already looked at. Moises Camper. Okay. 30 points as a 19-year-old. Comparable to Carlson. Brennan Amani, 28 points as a 20-year-old. The skating's nice. Good puck mover, quickness. It could be worth it, honestly. Cade Spurgeon, 8 points as a 20-year-old. That's not worth it. Israel Moy. Not quite. Brennan Gardner, 28 points as a 20-year-old. Nothing really good there. How many more? Darius Marshment. And Boris Zikov. Right. And then for goaltenders, I'm not really concerned. I think what we're going to do here, we have 2 gems. Each are defensemen. So forwards, we have a decent amount. Defensemen, we have a decent amount. I think we're going to take one of each. Highest rated guy here in general is Caden Burisch. 17-year-old, 6'5". Definitely more of a project. We don't quite know what we're getting with him. Vigilante is a gem. 19 years old, only 5 points in a weaker league. I'm not feeling that. Dmitry Dodonov, no points in 14 games as an 18-year-old, but he was essentially playing in the KHL. Don't think we can trust those grades, but is comparable to Vlasic. We have Christian Waters, no points in 30 games as an 18-year-old. Big-time project, also listed as a gem, and I'm not really liking it. And then Amani, 28 points as an overager. Not really liking that. So we have Burisch and Dodonov, and Burisch is much more highly rated. Much more. It's just, can we trust those grades on Dodonov? We know we can't, but I think we might just swing for the fence here and hope for the best. Perhaps. Like, that's a real risky pick right there. But it's going to be one of those two. And then forward-wise, we have Theo Molson, who is locked into the medium top 6. And again, we know he is a project. We also have Dante Wallace, 2 points in 14 games as an 18-year-old. That's a decent shot. That's about it. Dallas Pratt, decent point total for a 20-year-old, but I'm going to take him off the list. Habsheed as a 19-year-old, had 54 points, comparable to Hornquist. Booth as a 19-year-old, also did quite well. And a Dan Gray as an 18-year-old, I think might be the target. Yeah, so I'm going to take a Dan Gray here with this next pick. I just think Molson's too big of a project. Let's go with Gray from the Victoria Royals. We will take him and then one of those 2 defensemen in the 7th round. And whether or not this draft goes down as a success for us in the books, I'm not sure. Dodonov is available. All right, so Dmitry Dodonov is the pick, our final pick of this draft. Time will tell here. The big choice, of course, was going with Roenick over a franchise goaltender, but we get Ivanov as well. We begin this draft with a Russian. We end this draft with a Russian. I don't know how to feel. I feel like that could potentially backfire on us moving forward. We shall see. Time will tell how that works out for us. I will focus on re-signing scouts in a moment, but let's just see what this team ends up looking like in terms of contracts. So, case in point with our RFAs here, but we're good to bring everybody back for the moment if we wanted to. Granted, we don't really need Atkinson. We don't need 4 goaltenders. We're not going to get anything for Atkinson. I think I'm just going to let him go. And again, for those who do not remember, 4th round pick in 2018. Zane Atkinson, we'll see you later. We will bring back the other 2, though. So let's bump up Fedorov's pay, and let's bump up Stahlberg's pay. And we'll see how that goes. Defensively, Rokon needs his first big boy deal, and we are going all out immediately. Let's see, does he want to re-sign? He does. You know what this calls for? Ye old calculator app, because I'm not good at math. I am not. So let's see, 7.3, 85% of 7.3 would be 6,205. So I'm going to offer you 6.3 over 8 years, and we'll see if we can just get you locked up long-term like we did with Niedermeyer. Jenks also needs a new deal. See if I can give you 3 years at the max just to get the most out of that as you continue to develop. Festerling, we'll ditch you for the moment just because we don't know what the max contract's going to look like. Dodonov, you need to be paid more just to take up some of the cap. Fernandez as well. And Zeeler. So we'll see what these 3 defensemen end up becoming over time, but the defense is definitely starting to take shape. We have options now as well, which is pretty nice. Kaliev. Let's just get this deal. Under wraps. He also wanted to sign. Let's see if we can just lock him up long term. Now, here's the issue, and the main thing that I'm testing here is in the past when you would sit here and offer a player who wanted 3 years, and you'd offer them 8 years, that could stunt their developments. That's kind of what we're testing here in this game. It's kind of what we're testing. But I'm going to see if I can lock up a lot of our younger players for long term right now. Jesus, okay, except for Wong. That's a bit excessive. We'll just offer you what you're looking for pretty much. Let's see if I can just drop that down to 1.5. So see, it doesn't make sense in every occasion because we don't know how good Wong will end up being. But where it makes sense. Like for Bachman here, might not be the longest, long-term guy in the team. But Kaliev, the two main defensemen, it makes sense to sign them for that price. We'll just give Bachman that two-way deal. Baldwin also needs a contract, looking for a big boy deal as well, and I'm not really liking how much he was asking for. Drop that down to 1.6. We could technically go a little bit lower. Anybody else? Corriston. Let's bump up the money there. Saugus. Whoops, no, that's not what I wanted. Tiny bit of menu lag. Corriston, or Saugus, we'll give you the 2-year deal. We also sent the offer to Corriston. Greer needs a deal. A little bit worried about his development at this point, but he's still worth bringing in on a 1-year deal. Novoseltsev as well. I'm not against, of course, having the Doolin Narwhals roster be made up of our players that we've drafted. Be much better, of course, than having a bunch of randoms like we currently do now, as we are going to sign all 7 of our new players to contracts. And obviously now the thought of bringing in somebody on max level deals, we're not going to need them to take up as much of the cap. We're not going to need them to take up as many roster spots as we've needed in the past. So everybody, someone rejected. I didn't see who. Pretty much everybody else has accepted, which is beautiful. So only one player out of all of that rejected. Who was it? It was Rokon. Okay, I missed that. So it was Rokon, which is fine. We have room to negotiate. And again, I'd love to get this offer down. So I'm going to go... I went 6-3 last time? Whoops, going the wrong way. I went 6-3 last time. Let's go 6.5 over 8 years. Give you the decent amount of money there, and hopefully we can get you for cheap. Will Rokon accept? He will not. All right, that's fine. We can go over 6.5. We have time. We have time to negotiate. We can pull this off, hopefully. So we'll go up to, let's say, 6.8. Even then, that would be a half decent discount. I mean, if we can get him for under 7, the guaranteed. I mean, it's Rokon and Niedermeyer on defense. That's our 1-2 punch for the duration of this series. Like, that's it. We have our top 2. Rokon has signed for 8 years, and we are pretty much good to go. I just need to look to bring back whatever scouts it kind of makes sense to. The B- scouts, again, though, you're European, and we need you to stay. We do need to ditch some people. I think Turgeon and Spurgeon. I'm going to let go of these 2 for now, and we'll bring back the other ones. That way I at least have a couple of spots for our scouts at this point. So Shirokov, let's send you a deal. We'll send Pock a contract. And there was one other. Sims. You can also get an offer to stay. Good old Silas Sims. Good old Silas Sims. So let's see if they accept. They should. And then we're pretty much good to go. Really up to the beginning of the preseason. Shirokov is signed. Just waiting for the other 2. Pock has accepted. Sims has accepted. Beautiful. So we have 2 spots open for our scouts. 2 contracts to send out. We'll see how that goes. And we'll take it from there. So hire scouts. Who do we have? Who do we have available to us? Give me somebody good, particularly top-notch European scout. We have 3 A-minuses. Not going to get what I wanted there in terms of a ideal European scout. I could take a look, of course. I just want to look at all the B grades and above. I do know that there was a guy for Russia there. Kaheznikov. Half decent, good in pretty much every European location. 100% we need to get this guy. And I can offer you a little bit more money. And from there, Let's go back up to the top and try and get an A- scout. Let's take a look here. Wow. So Catherine McMillan, if only we needed a pro scout, you would be the one. Unfortunately, we don't. McElhaney's probably the better way to go. Actually, Brett Wall. Brett Wall can scout any location in the U.S., or Bennett Wall can scout any location in the U.S. with ruthless efficiency. So we'll look to bring Bennett Wall aboard. And with that, we're pretty much good to just jump to the beginning of the preseason. I'm not sure how much of the season we'll sim through. I will do my best. But obviously that draft took a little bit, as we're going to decline that. Hopefully I don't get spammed with offers. I keep forgetting to jump into the settings and just turn off, the CPU trade notifications. Normally I do in a series like this. Just haven't gotten to it yet. Don't know why. Just haven't. Some of those things, on occasion, those things, slip your mind. Even if you've ran numerous Draft to Glory series. It's just how it goes. Like I said, I've been doing this series type since 17, NHL 17, which really would have been, actually, that was towards the end of the year. That would have been in 2017. I've been doing this for a while. Been doing this type of series for a while. So, actually, yeah, no, that would have been 2016. Would have been 2016, because NHL 16 was into 15 and then 16. It's been 2 years. 2 years of doing this type of series. And I like that. Granted, there have been different spins that we've put on it. But I do like, of course, with Fog of War, the unique spin that Fog of War puts on it. And of course, when you talk about the other type of spins we can put on it, whether it be drafting certain player types only, whether it be mixing it with the Nations United type of series we do and saying, hey, we can only draft players from a nation or this certain region, it's going to be a lot of fun this year. It's definitely going to be a go-to as we have arrived. Let's see what we are dealing with contract-wise. First and foremost, that is the most important thing. So we have 10 contract spots open, but $58 million in cap space. So we need some players to take up $58 million. Well, let's find out who they're going to be. Who are the veterans? Jesus, Brett Festerling. I am just handing you generational wealth on a consistent basis. We'll see if you can accept a $20 million offer. And Harrison Zolnicek will also look to hand you a ridiculous amount of money. And from there, we'll wait for those offers to go through. Of course, we're going to have to set up the team for the preseason. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll get back on track as far as, I don't know, waiting it out. Maybe, preseason to preseason. I don't know. Is both of them accepted? $10 million in space. Really, it's more like 12. We should be okay to call up and send down whomever we need to. No, we have $20 million in space. Well, let me go sign one other guy then, just to make sure we have that freedom. Who else wants a ridiculous contract that I can pretty much guarantee is kind of terrible at this point? You know what, Adam McQuaid, I love you. I love you. Sign him up. Sign him up. I'm going to drop that just a little bit. The bar is too close to the ceiling for comfort. There we go. There we go. We'll hand Adam McQuaid a deal. Maybe he'll be the Doolin Narwhals captain. I'd like to think at his age, where he is in this stage, he wouldn't have to be throwing fists for a living. But you never know. There we go. McQuaid is accepted. So let's take a look at what this roster is going to be for the preseason. And we'll take it from there. So no one's a real question mark at this point. Stahlberg, again, medium backup. So Stahlberg's going down. Fedorov's getting called up. Stahlberg is going to be... You know what, in fairness, I can just bump up Stahlberg. It's going to be Wilson and Arena down in the AHL. Sestito, you better have improved, buddy. Stahlberg's pretty much just going to sit there. Defensively, Hillstrom up to an 82. I like the looks of that. But we do know, or we don't, because we already kind of have a general idea of how good some of these guys are. I was going to say, we do know that we have some unknowns. That is apparently not the case. We know exactly what we're dealing with. So let's send down these three. I mean, granted, they're not all 100% locked in, but we're still going to take a look to see if we can have that sorted. So let's send down Cooks and defensively. We still need to send down one other guy. I guess it's going to be Reichel, and we'll see what we have with the 6. And then forward-wise, Fragapani, Redden, and Kaliev will be down. Ooh. Yeah, we need to get a full report on him for sure. We also definitely need to get a full report on Roenick, and Reed as well will be one of our first call-ups. So let's see, Wong, Krug, Bachman. Look to send you guys down for the moment. Let's get a full report. Hopefully Moreau's a little bit better than that. He was a risky pick, and that's another type of pickup that we could have had in the draft this time out, just moments ago, that we look to have avoided, just because, again, we've kind of learned our lesson at this point. At least you'd like to think so. As we have 10 with Whitmore, 11, 12, 13. I thought so. We have one too many. Saugus will be sent down for Booze, and that should be good. 10, 11, 12. Yeah, we still got to send down one more, of course. And, Ivanov, we know he's going to make the roster. So at this point, I just want to find out what we're going to be dealing with here with some of these others. We'll save the Ivanov revelation for a little bit later into the regular season. Goaltending-wise, beautiful. AHL, we can just go best lines for the moment because, of course, it does not matter. So we'll set up the scouting in a moment. For now, let's just get to the preseason and see what we are dealing with. Let's see if we have any surprises that will be making the roster for the beginning of this season. There is an outside chance at that. We'll see how this goes. I'm mainly intrigued by finding out what Roenick is going to be and whether or not that was the right choice. Of course, we didn't see where the franchise player went. It wouldn't have mattered. We still wouldn't know his overall anyway because of fog of war, so that's going to be one of the bigger what-ifs as we finish 3-4 in the preseason, which, to be honest, isn't that bad, seeing as, how weak of a roster we were running. Oh, Roenick. All right, low elite potential. Oh, boy, he's a little bit lower than what I was hoping for. 4-star shooting. We will find out with Roenick whether or not that was the right choice long-term. But right now, Sestito's confirmed at a 78. Right now, it's looking just a tad bit scary. Just a little bit. As we are not going to be calling up McQuaid, of course. Let's send down those two. Is Jenks making the roster? He is, well, I know Reichel's 23. How old is Jenks at this point? 22. I might give Jenks the chance. at this point. The higher potential than Reichel. So yeah, Jerry Reichel will be down in the AHL to begin this season. That is our defense. Jenks is the weak link to start. And from there, Reed is confirmed at a 55. Let's go ahead and call everybody up. A couple of players will be sent down to junior. Of course, we're fine with that. Let's get the best overall roster set up here that we possibly can. Which, again, as you would expect, it's going to be the best roster that we've ever iced. But is it as good as it possibly could have been? We'll never know. As we're going to have to make a decision here. We have 10, 11, 12, 13. So between, in fairness, Booze, you're a 71. So you're getting dropped, I think. Well, man, that amount of menu lag is crazy. Let's take a look here. Halverson, low 4 at 22, 23. Yes, August, I'm thinking you're going to get dropped to start. Wait, what? Be under the minimum. Wait, did I miscount? Are we good? We have 10, 11, 12, 13. Did I miscount defenseman? What the fuck are you talking about? Being under the minimum amount. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Okay, so did you just see how I hit the Y button and it just sent somebody down or something? Okay, so when I went to send down Booze, it did go through, but it glitched out. That was weird. That was very weird. Regardless, let's flip him and Saugus. Holy hell, I don't, you know what, whatever. I don't know how to explain that. It's fine. So Redden, Fragapani, and Kaliev, of course, there was the discussion of moving Redden to center and maybe changing him up to a sniper. Overall, though, if I make any of those changes, I think I'll do so off-screen in or before the next episode because, man, we're closing in on an hour. somewhat quickly. So I think we'll make a little bit of progress into the season at the very least. We also need to set up the AHL lineup. Nicholas Fedberg will take you out for Norena to be the backup there. Defensively, Sean Mayer is not ours. So let's go ahead and bring in not Festerling, but Antoine Lalonde. Bring you in. Adam McQuaid, I love you, but you're getting paid to just sit around and make money. Hope you don't mind. Brian Fernandez will be into the lineup for you. Arvid Hendrickson, Hogberg, Zieler, and Reichel, of course, are good, so we need to replace that middle pairing. I think it'll be Foy and Dadnoff, will it not be? Indeed it will be. All right, Foy is in, and Dadonov will be in the lineup as well. So that's looking good. It's looking good. And then forward-wise, who else do we need in this lineup? Terrell is not ours. Is there someone whose spot you're taking? Pablo Calico. Great name. Not our player, though. And left wing, of course, we have quite a few players in junior as well. And case in point, we don't have anyone else to put into this lineup. Let's just make sure that our actual players are on the higher lines at the very least. So let's see, it's you two as well that need to be dropped. And Bure we're going to want on the higher line. Whitmore. We'll drop Novoseltsev for the moment. So these will be the lines just to start. I'm going to optimize it. I'm going to sim right now until we're about a season or a month into the season, I'm thinking. And then we might stop the episode there, and I'll do a little bit of optimizing in terms of setting up the scouting, in terms of optimizing the lines, because I just don't know. You know what? Screw it. I'll do it now. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back. We'll sim the season, and we'll see what happens. Screw it. All right, so at the very least, the scouting is set up. Again, I'm still going to handle the optimizing of potentially changing up player types and positions as well once we're actually through and I can see everyone's true overall and true potential. So let's go ahead. We'll move to November. And then again, we will readjust certain things. We'll take another quick little time out, and then we'll sim through the remainder of the season. Why the hell not? Although, if we miss out on the playoffs, we'll do the full season recap at the beginning of the next episode. And then hopefully the next draft will not take as long as this one did. I don't even know how that happened, aside from me being completely indecisive on what to do for a good 10 minutes with that second round pick. And even then, if Roenick doesn't develop, we may have made a terrible, terrible mistake. Time will tell on that, but I'm excited to see what these lines are going to look like for the rest of the season. If it turns out, of course, someone in the AHL should be called up, we'll go ahead and handle that. We'll have every line set to be optimized. So you'll get a look at that in a moment because I should have all the info that I need. Jump cut again. All right, we have some simming to do. This roster is set. Let's give you a quick look over of what we have done. Perhaps controversially, Redden and Fragapani are not on the same line. The top line is going to be Kaliev, Redden, and Krog. As you get a look there, Kaliev in 82, you get a look at the attributes he set up as a sniper. Redden, as well as some others, have had their player types changed, but it takes a little bit of time for that to go through. But the basic thing here, everyone's overalls locked in. Splitting up Redden and Fragapani for the sake of having the center depth be that much better. And when you look at it, between that top three, the top three centers on this team, it's pretty ridiculous. Not to mention the emergence of someone like Luke Baldwin, who has that puck skills category. This could be one hell of a season for us. The power play, though, is Redden, Fragapani, and Kaliev, so they should be able to do some pretty ridiculous damage. But again, as far as the setup right now goes for the top two lines, it's really a matter of splitting up the center depth. And as far as the player types go, like I said, it takes a little bit of time for that to kick in. It's not immediate this time for whatever reason, but for the sake of trying to get Redden to develop that shot, we'll be good to go. You'll notice as well, I haven't been able to get to this yet, I've gone ahead and signed a couple of players for the AHL roster just to make them a tad bit better, a tad bit more competitive, and that way, of course, we're not stuck with some of the randoms on the team. So let me go ahead and edit the lines there quickly. I also want to double check. Doesn't really matter, I suppose. Maybe I won't. I was going to say, maybe I'll check the captains and everything for the lines, but we do not have to. It is absolutely irrelevant, unless we get to the postseason with the duel in Narwhals, in which case I'll take a look. But the odds of that happening pretty damn slim, I would say, as we'll get Johansson into the lineup. Harrison Zolnacek, you get to take a seat for Pyatt. And was there not a fifth? Who am I missing? Scratch players. Zolnacek, Terrell, Sobotka. There you are. Vladimir Sobotka on this team as well. So there you go. The Doolin Narwhals roster for this season is pretty much set. Bottom six potential for Novoselicev. Everyone else is at least a little bit better. We're going to bump up Bure and Barahowski. That looks fine. I think that'll be good. That'll be good enough for now. Everyone's pretty much getting a decent amount of playing time. For now, let's try to get that much further through the season without it taking a ton of time. It's already been a longer episode at this point. Scouting-wise, I'm feeling pretty good. I should be able to have the scouts take a look at any players that they might not be able to, or that they might not do on their own in between the end of the season and the draft. And hopefully we don't get too many trade offers. I need to go turn that off, and I will remember to do so soon. Son of a bitch, I might do it now. Quit sending me trade offers, damn it, as unfortunately we're on a decent little losing streak here. Which you look back 2 seasons ago, the 30-win season, you look back last year, under 30 wins. This roster is in the best shape it's ever been in. How are we going to do, though? The sim engine, of course, is a mystery. How it works, the best team doesn't always win, of course. It's not a perfect science. Washington is desperate to dump cap to us. I don't know why. We don't even have cap space. Leave me alone. Go bother somebody else, please. But when you look at this roster, again, in theory, we should do better than 30 wins. We should set that new career high, so to speak, the new team record in wins. It's not looking like it's going to happen this season, though, unless we really start to turn things around. And you'll notice as well what just happened with the weaker draft class. Might not be the worst year to, or might not be the best year to be the worst team in the league. We might want to turn things around, but as it stands, we are struggling to a fairly ridiculous extent. We finally get a win against Dallas as we move into December. Make that 2 wins in a row. Don't look now. We're on the way up. Draft class, doesn't really help us to know who's a gem or who's a bust right now anyway, does it? Right now, we're just focusing on progress and trying like hell to win hockey games, which, for the most part, the month of December has been quite kind to us. That loss to Winnipeg being our first loss of the month. We end up losing to Philly as well, but up to 8 wins on the season. I wouldn't say that we're necessarily out of it right now, but we definitely need to start stringing wins together, and losing 4 out of 5 isn't exactly going to help the cause. So how do you explain 2 seasons ago, the 30-win season? Was it just luck? Was every other team just bad? Is it the EA voodoo of the sim engine? Not entirely sure. We're at 10 wins. We only have a game. Actually, I thought we had 2. We only have 1 game left in this month, in this year. It's a 4-2 loss to Anaheim. And at 10-20-6, make that 11-20-6 after that game against St. Louis, we are in a pretty rough spot. And unfortunately as well, the signings that we have made for North Bay haven't helped whatsoever. Maybe it has. Maybe they have a few more wins, but it's been a rough go for us. Dylan Redden is our leading point getter as it stands. 31 points in 37 games. Kaliev, 30 points. He's doing well. Let's take a look here. Krog is on the second or the first line. 26 points, not bad. Caden Wong, Fragapani, and Baldwin actually has more goals than assists. Figure that one out, man, for how this game works and why it works in that way. The third line has been completely ineffective. The fourth line hasn't been all that effective either. So let's make some slight changes here just to try and create a little bit more of a spark. Shockingly, we do have some defensemen that are half decent. Let's just make these changes. Some slight changes to try and get things going. Sestito's up to a 79, but he only has a 907 save percentage. Fedorov under 900 for a save percentage. Not exactly what we're looking for, not exactly what we're hoping for, but we're doing the best that we can. We are visiting Little Caesars Arena as we continue onward here. Let's at least get to the end of the season And right now, of course, it's looking ever so likely that the beginning of the next episode will be an end-of-season recap and immediately jumping into a draft as we are continuing to lose games left and right. So yet again, figure it out as to why 2 seasons ago we were so successful, but we sit here now and we are struggling to win games despite the roster being so stacked. We absolutely need to look to find a center, preferably a second line center that can actually take faceoffs. The idea of splitting up Redden and Fragapani in theory should work. You know, you don't play Crosby and Malkin on the same line, but you can argue it necessarily hasn't. We have a real weakness right now. Even the guys on the third and fourth line aren't necessarily that good at faceoffs. We could sit there and, admit defeat on the majority of our faceoffs, but I don't think that's what we're looking for, especially too if it gets down towards crunch time. We make the playoffs, we jump in, we take a look if it's a close game, and our team just loses faceoff after faceoff. You could see how it could go poorly, I think is the point. But unless we go on a massive run here, this is going to finish as a very disappointing season. I'd say drastically underperforming. Or maybe we just overperformed to such an extreme level 2 seasons ago that our expectations were a bit too high. I don't know how to look at it right now, but it's 2024. It's still the early days of this series, and I think for the fact that we rightfully so have the confidence in this team to win 30-plus games, maybe not be a playoff team, but to not be true basement dwellers. I mean, we might finish last in the league like we did in the 30-win season, but, sub 20 wins or so, or even going 0-82, anything like that. We're not at that level, which is nice. I mean, this early on, we certainly shouldn't be at that level. We're on the right track. It's just how soon should we expect any sort of success, playoff contention, etc., and are we expecting it a little bit too early just because of one magical season? Which, again, call it a magical season, but we still finished dead last in the league. So that's our version of magical. 30 wins, but still finishing in dead last. Hopefully that theme changes. Which, again, 21 wins now here. Heading into the month of March. North Bay up to 24. So it's kind of a rough spot. I think we can see how this is going to play out this season, and it is going to end in disappointing fashion. You can pretty much call it. The next episode will be an end-of-season recap. We'll take a look at all the point totals and everything like that in depth around the league. We'll sim through the playoffs, take a look at the awards, the whole deal, the whole routine. At this point, I guess the big question will be heading towards the draft. Of course, we're not going to know the draft lottery results. I can't leave you on that cliffhanger unless I want to add another 5+ minutes to this episode, which I don't. It's already long enough. So I think what we'll do is at the very least we'll take a look at the draft board and say, hey, who should we look to target here? Because odds are we're not going to, or odds are we are going to finish dead last in the league. I can't imagine there's a team worse than us, so we're not going to pick worse than 4th. We'll pretty much be able to say, okay, who do we take? And considering I haven't looked at the draft board once, could very well be a franchise-level player in this draft, and from that point, it would be fairly straightforward who we would end up taking, and it would be that player if we ended up with the number 1 pick. But I think we'll try to do what we did with the Dika and Ivanov situation, as we could just outright say, okay, who's it going to be? What player is it going to be? As we might hit 30 wins. Can we? Possibly? No, we cannot. 29, 46, and 7 is our record for the 2023-2024 season. A disappointing year. Perhaps not as many strides forward as you would have thought. Redden was the leading point getter on the team, but again, we will get into all of that at the beginning of the next episode. We'll do the full season recap, and we'll take it from there. There is a franchise-level player. It's a great draft for Americans. Roy Engel is, without a doubt, the number 1 option. He had 52 points in 56 games as a 17-year-old. Amazing. Who's he going to be compared to at 6'4"? Heavy slap shot. Chara? Drew Doughty. 6'4", 204. A Doughty comparison, the B in defense. From there, though, if we don't end up with him, we have medium elites to choose from. Here are the options. We have Zachary Hancock on defense. 46 points in 53 games as an 18-year-old, actually in the same region. Again, great. He's 5'10". The B in defense, comparable. to PK Subban. The third option, Alan Muirs, I believe it would be, 39 points in 55 games from U.S. Central at 17 years old. B in defense, pretty much great in everything else, comparable to Victor Hedman. From there, we get our first forward. It's Easton Corso from USA West. Great year for that region. 18 years old, pretty phenomenal, 59 points in 55 games. A's and everything, no player comparison, though, which is shocking. Now, he might not be the center that we need, but damn. And then the other forward, Gary Lieb, an American but playing for the Windsor Spitfires, 57 points in 56 games at 18 years old. An A in everything, comparable to Joe Thornton. So let me know what you think we should do. Should I trust my scouts rating based off what you've seen already? What is the order that you would pick them in? Keep in mind, of course, we might not end up with the number one pick. If we do, it's pretty straightforward who we're going to go for. But from there, it's a crapshoot as far as who we should look to target. We don't know if we're going to be picking 1 through 4, but we can pretty much guarantee, and I'll confirm it here at the very least, that we ended up finishing dead last. And I mean, I don't even think I have to look. Holy shit, we didn't. Vegas. How is Vegas that bad? Okay, this is the one thing I'll look at, but we'll look at everything else next time. And Redden's a 92. Good lord. We finished second last. Vegas somehow worse than us, so we will have the second best odds at winning the lottery and getting that number 1 overall pick. Will we? We've done it before. Will we do it again? That is the question. For now, I'm going to end it here. This episode has been long enough, thanks to my indecisiveness at the draft, and I'm sorry for that. But like I said, next episode, season recap, another draft, another season, and hopefully, maybe next year, it was a little bit anticlimactic for this season, but maybe next year we finally do take that step forward. We're getting closer. The foundation's being built up. On the bright side, the silver lining of this, we're getting another top 5 pick. We're getting another elite prospect. That could be exactly what we need to put us over the edge in the next few seasons to come. For now, that'll do it. Thank you for watching. Support the video. Support the channel. I'm on Twitter at Tukey24, by the way. Yeah, Twitch as well at Tukey24. Links are in the description. Check out the 10K subscriber video if you have not already done so, because we're doing an attached Q&A to that for now, I guess, because I don't know how else to celebrate 10K. And for now, goodbye. See you next time. Damn.